Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named VisibleAd in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I asked my friend's GF how old she was when she made a ceramic. This happened a few days ago, and I wanted to get some opinions. My friend, whom I'll call Marcus's girlfriend, Sarah, invited me and a couple more friends to dinner as a way of getting to know one another. Marcus had told us before that Sarah has been interested in ceramics since she was a kid, and there were a lot of her pieces displayed in her home. I want to say up front that I had no malicious intent when I asked this question. I just wanted to show that I was interested in getting to know her, as she seemed like a genuinely nice person. So I saw a little ceramic pot in the living room and asked her how old she was when she made it, as I also participated in the ceramics club when I was a kid, and it reminded me of a similar pot I made, which I still keep in my house. When I asked the question, I could see on her face that she got upset, and she told me that she made it a couple of weeks ago. I immediately tried to explain myself, saying that I didn't mean it was bad or anything, and told her about my own little pot I made, but I could see that it wasn't really helping. Marcus gave me a look and then changed the subject, but I could sense that she was a bit more distant toward me throughout the day. After we left, Marcus called me to berate me while I tried to explain everything again. He is still angry with me for everything, and though I feel bad about my comment, I didn't mean anything bad by it. So what do you think? Am I the asshole? Update. I don't know if anyone cares, but just because I can, I thought I would give an update. My judgment was that I was not the asshole, but the real judgment was that I was an idiot, which I agree with. So today I talked with Marcus and asked him if he could check with Sarah to see if she was available and open to having a chat, as I wanted to apologize and talk to her about everything. She agreed to meet with me, so I went to her place. I apologized profusely for what happened and told her that I didn't mean to compare her talent or art to that of a child, because she is in fact very talented. Thankfully, she accepted my apology. I also told her that I liked the pot she made a lot and showed her the one I made. She said that while it was very cute, it also looked like absolute dog shit, which is giving it more credit than it deserves. After that, I showed her my ceramic bowls, which hold no competition to their prehistoric counterparts, and my ceramic swan, which never really grew out of its ugly duckling phase. We laughed and talked for a while, and she offered to show me some more of her artwork, which I was very happy about. After everything, she even took me to the basement, which also doubled as her ceramic studio, to show me around there as well. Seeing the opportunity, we decided to get our hands dirty and made a friendship bowl type thing together, which was very fun. Overall, I would say it was a very good day and a successful apology. Blacker Dewberry Pie said, "While on a trip one year, my mom asked on a whim if I wanted a souvenir brought back for me. I told her to find me the ugliest ceramic thing she could find, partly because I wanted to see what she considered ugly and also because I figured it would make a more interesting story. It turns out we're more alike than I thought because the thing she brought home was atrocious. I put it on a shelf in my living room and we would laugh about it whenever she came over. She passed away in 2020, and I have to say, now that it's full of those memories, it's a little less ugly, but not by much." Catherine Madison said, "I just really love the mother of the commentator proudly displaying any clumsy piece of tat her adult child brings her. You're never too old to go on the fridge." This next post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My wife deleted a message from my ex telling that she was pregnant 5 years ago. It's been almost 2 weeks since I found out. We did the tests and she's mine. My ex sent me a message a couple of weeks before giving birth, telling me about everything. My then girlfriend and present wife saw that my ex sent me a message, deleted it, and then blocked her, apparently without reading it. My ex took that as me not wanting to be involved and raised our daughter all alone for 5 years. My daughter is turning 5 in a month, and I haven't even met her. Every time I think about how much I missed out on, I just lose it. I know I must focus on what I've gained instead of what I've lost, but damn, it's hard. It's taken me 2 hours just to write this out. I don't even want to start on what my ex had to go through alone and the desperation to reach out to my mother for help when she hates her nearly more than me. My wife says she's remorseful, that she was just very immature at the time and didn't think it could be that important, so much so that she forgot about it. I've never loved anyone more than my wife. wife. She supported me through so much. I believe she actually feels bad and regrets it. She's currently about 21 weeks pregnant with our first child together. We're currently separated while I deal with everything, but I don't know how we'll move forward after this. Edit: to further elaborate, I found out through my mother, who was contacted by my ex about my daughter and how I ghosted her. I was talking to my wife about this, and she confessed to deleting the message and blocking my ex. Update: got some messages asking for updates, and since my post got some attention, I thought I should publicly update. Long story short, I met with my ex last week just to properly explain myself and discuss the whole what now. It didn't end up being productive and was mostly filled with awkward silence and a few minor arguments. Towards the end, she said that she'd been talking to a lawyer and didn't want me to be involved. She will be seeking full custody of our daughter with no visitation, as well as suing me for back child support and getting me on child support, so that was fun. To be clear, I was always going to provide more than my fair share for any child of mine. I really don't know how any of this works, but I haven't received anything from the court yet, so it could have just been a threat, but she seemed serious. Regardless, I decided to find myself a lawyer to help me instead of waiting around, and eventually got linked with an old friend's brother whom I'm meeting tomorrow, which is great. My wife and I are trying to work things out. Due to the lawyer and court situation, financially speaking, we couldn't get an actual therapist, but my wife's pastor offered to provide marriage counseling for us. We only had 2 sessions before the family drama broke out, and we temporarily put counseling on pause. Basically, the thing about my wife deleting the message leaked out to the rest of the family, which has led to my wife getting uncivil messages from a couple of family members. My lovely older sister also decided to add fuel to the fire by posting about this on her Facebook. My wife has locked herself at home since and is taking everything quite badly, since even her friends now know and have distanced themselves from her. I'm actually quite worried about it, but at least her mom is there with her, and I try to check on her regularly. It's all just overwhelming. When I'm not thinking about my daughter, I'm thinking about my ex. When I'm not thinking about my ex, I'm thinking about my family drama. When I'm not thinking about that, I'm thinking about my marriage and the pregnancy. And there's still work, so it's been a really terrible week. I'm finding it hard to maintain optimism and excitement for my daughter when all this has happened. Just a terrible situation all around. This ended up being more of a vent, so sorry about that. I probably won't give another update in the future unless there's good news, so just thanks for the support. Update 2. It's quite a long story, so the more condensed version is that I've met my daughter. My ex and I handled the custody and support agreement ourselves. We're both committed to making this co-parenting thing work, and it's been going well so far. My wife and I are back at home and both excited about her nearing due date. We've decided to move on. The longer version, the last update ended with my ex threatening to fight me in court. Well, the lawyer I had arranged suggested we give mediation a try and set that up with her lawyers and this mediator. Overall, the mediation went quite badly and seemed to be more detrimental to us ever cooperating. We only had 2 actual sessions and both were filled with unnecessary fighting and no resolution. Funny enough, it was the chaos at the mediation that kind of proved to both of us we weren't interested in fighting each other indefinitely, and she reached out late in the evening after the second mediation asking to meet up the next day. In that meeting, we talked things out and listened to one another. We sorted through some baggage from our relationship as well as spoke about what exactly had been going on the past 5 years. It was an hours-long conversation, but it was totally worth it. We agreed that we'd make it work and put our daughter at the forefront. A meeting was arranged for me to drive over and see my daughter face to face, and I did. At the time, I wasn't introduced properly to her as her father, and she obviously was cagey around this random dude, but it was still great seeing her that first time. She is seeing someone to help with my transition into her life, and I've since been properly introduced to her. She started calling me Papa, so things are going stunningly smooth and she's coping really well with it all. Plus, my ex has floated around the idea that if she could find a job or better job where I am, she'd consider moving, so distance isn't too big of a problem, though that's still a big if. For now, I'll just keep driving up to her until we're acquainted enough to allow her to make the trip to me. The last update on my wife left things at my sister posting about everything and my family fighting with my wife. My sister has removed the post and apologized to my wife, although not sincerely, but still an apology. It's still ongoing, but attempts at reconciling my family and wife are going more or less well. My wife momentarily moved to stay with her parents to get away from everything for about a month, but has since moved back to the house with me as we're soon expecting the birth of our child in the coming weeks. We're all extremely excited about that, and we've worked through our issues. I'm sure most of you will be disappointed by this, but I do 100% believe my wife and trust that she isn't some conniving person. She's still the woman I love, and we're all to blame for the circumstances that led to this whole situation. All we can do is focus on the future. Big thanks to everyone who's offered their support, wishes, and advice. I truly do appreciate all of it, and that's it. Signed off, a happy dad of 2. Delicious Mix said, if I were pregnant by an ex and was contacting him to let him know, there is no way I would send a single text message. If I didn't get a response from that text message, I would send messages, emails, letters, and any other methods of contact I could think of to let him know. I would also immediately file for child support. I don't think the ex truly wanted him to know, or she would have tried harder. She did just enough to say she let him know. She obviously knew how to contact his mom, so there's that too. I don't know if the wife read the message or not. I would have, and I would have talked to my boyfriend about it immediately, but I know others wouldn't. They would be afraid he would go running back to his pregnant ex or think it was just a ploy by the ex to get back together. I have seen girls use the I am pregnant card to get back together and then have a miscarriage after they are back together. British Blue said, the one thing that does annoy me is how often people fill in the gaps about someone they haven't met, run with it to the extreme, and then just die on that hill. All we have to go on is what OP says. We might as well believe them unless something to the contrary pops up. 777 Amor said, I think it's insane how many people are in disbelief that the wife could delete messages without reading them. That's not some crazy phenomenon, even if it's not what most would do. I just find it incredibly odd how many people are fixated on her lying about it. Very odd. This post was made in the AITA subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, I canceled our family cruise. So my parents wanted to do a cruise for the holidays. They invited me, my boyfriend, my brother, and his girlfriend. My brother, let's call him James, has always been the golden child. Some backstory, back in high school when James was discovered to be selling pills, he was just going through a phase. Meanwhile, when I got caught smoking weed, my parents threatened to kick me out. James lost his scholarship and dropped out of college 3 different times, but he's still perfect. I graduated a semester late and I didn't try hard enough. James still lives in the state where he attended college and I live in my home state near my parents. He doesn't work and he's not currently in school. My parents buy him flights all the time to come visit, but don't buy me a flight to go see him or go anywhere else. My parents send him money for rent and life necessities. He recently bought a $2,000 dog with that money. When I got my first big job at age 22, my parents immediately kicked me off their insurance since I had the option of benefits. James was on their insurance until he turned 26. Last year, I got laid off and moved back in with my parents to save money. When I got my new job, my parents told me I needed to pay 10 grand in back rent, which was never discussed previously. This has been a pattern my whole life. James gets everything handed to him and I have to work my ass off. So now to the cruise. My parents said they wanted to do this and bought tickets for themselves, James, and his girlfriend. They told me to get my own ticket since I have a well-paying job. I was super upset and told them it wasn't fair that I was the only one who had to buy my own tickets. My parents said I was acting spoiled and that green wasn't a good look on me. I am so tired of hearing that phrase at this point. They said it's not like I had to get a nice room since we'd be outside it the majority of the time anyway, which is true, but then why get James a nice room? I decided I had enough and wasn't going. But here's where I may be the asshole. I let them continue thinking I was for months. Then on the night before they left, they said to get to their house by 8 a.m. so we could start the drive to the port. At 8:30 that day, they started messaging me asking where I was. I texted them, since you didn't want to put the effort in to have me join you, I will be attending my boyfriend's Thanksgiving instead. Have a nice trip with your favorite child. Then I muted the chat. I talked to some friends about this, and some said it was petty of me to cancel with no warning, and others said I should have sucked it up and gone since I would have had fun when I got there. They've been on the cruise for a couple of days now, and I'm starting to regret how I handled things. Yeah, I probably would have had fun, and it's not like I couldn't afford the ticket. I also could have handled the delivery better, but at the same time, I'm so sick of them treating me like this. So am I the asshole for canceling on our family vacation? Update. Sorry for posting and then dropping off the face of the earth. I wrote the original post at work during my break, and as soon as the day ended, my boyfriend and I headed up to the cabins his family rented for the holidays. I wanted to be fully present with them, so I didn't actually have a chance to check this until today. I can't believe how many people chimed in. I appreciate everyone who took the time to share their thoughts, even though I wasn't able to get through all of them. I tried reading some comments but got overwhelmed by the sheer amount and gave up after scrolling for 20 minutes. Instead of responding to people individually, I will try to address some common things I saw in the comments. If there's anything I missed, let me know and I will try my best to provide an answer. Skip ahead about 10 paragraphs if you want to get straight to the update. I am prone to yap a good bit. Obviously, I'll start with the $10K in back rent. To me, the number itself wasn't the issue. I mean, yeah, it is definitely a bit higher than I would have liked, but not completely unreasonable. For the amount of time I lived there, it's not like I would have been able to rent my own place at a cheaper price. And if I hadn't moved in with them, I would have completely depleted my savings and probably gone into debt. While I was laid off and looking for a new job in my field, I had a serving job and did some freelance writing work as well, so I was contributing to groceries but not paying rent or utilities. Because of that, I understood why my parents wanted help once I was in a position to do so. I just wish they had defined that expectation from the beginning instead of springing it on me as a surprise. I paid it because I know it was an inconvenience for my parents to have me stay so long, and it didn't feel worth the pushback if I refused. I know it would have turned into a whole big issue, and it just felt easier to pay the money. Yes, I probably have some pushover tendencies that I need to address. Luckily, I'm in a well-paying field, so once I got my new position, I was able to pay my parents back in about 6 months while also saving up to move out. The timeline for anyone curious is I was laid off in January of last year. I used my savings to pay rent until my lease was up in June, and then I moved in with my parents. I lived with my parents from June of last year until September of this year when I moved in with my boyfriend. I got my current job in May, which is when my parents told me they wanted back rent and rent moving forward until I moved out. So not all of it was technically back rent, but I just used that term to be more concise. By the time I moved out, the total amount I owed had added up to $10K, and I had already paid off most of it. I also saw a couple comments about pursuing legal action against my parents, but I don't think that's worth it or even possible. We never had a written contract, and I didn't argue against paying it. I didn't want them to be able to hold that over me. Going through any legal issue would just dredge the whole thing up again, and I'd rather not do that. It's paid now, so at least it's over with. In the future, I know I should probably be less willing to give in to their demands. It's just difficult when things have been this way my whole life, and my experiences have shown me that any refusal paints me as ungrateful in their eyes. I try so hard to be perfect because I just want them to treat me with the same care and support as they do with James. The worst part is, James and I were super close growing up. When we were kids, we hung out all the time. He was the one who taught me how to ride a bike. He stood up for me when I was getting bullied. I don't think he's a bad person at all. He just never learned to stand on his own 2 feet. Our relationship is strained now because he doesn't get why I have issues with our parents. I miss the brother I would stay up playing RuneScape with. I'm pretty sure he fully buys into the idea that he needs extra help since he's always gotten it. He doesn't know how to do or expect anything else. At least he's still nice to me, but he just refuses to see the differences in how we're treated, and he basically wants me to just suck it up and be part of the family. Sadly, all his support just disappeared once it came to issues with our parents. I hope James gets some distance from them one day and we can reconnect. I don't want our relationship to keep suffering because of this. Sorry to get sappy for a second. Back to the comments, another thing I saw some people ask is why I didn't tell them sooner that I was canceling. I know that was a petty move on my part, but had I told them earlier, they would have spent those months trying to convince me to go and insulting me if I continued to refuse. It seemed like such a hassle, and the way I did it was much easier. And yeah, maybe this is shitty of me, but I did get some satisfaction out of it. It felt good to treat them at the same level they treat me. Besides, it's not like it actually affected their trip. They still went just without me. Many of the comments brought up the idea of going low contact or no contact with my family, and it is something I've now been considering. My boyfriend is supportive of this decision since he has seen firsthand how my parents are. I'm sure my friends will be supportive as well if I explain the full story. Most of them have never met my parents, and I've tried not to get into the whole family dynamic with my friends since it's depressing for me to talk about, and I also didn't want to come off as just whining all the time. Prior to this, they've only heard some small complaints here and there. With all that out of the way, here's what happened since my last post. My boyfriend and I got to the cabin late Wednesday night. I gave his mother a bouquet of her favorite flowers and she loved them. We had a quick glass of wine while talking with his family before heading to bed. I was still a bit uncertain of my decision, so I probably wasn't as peppy as usual, but they didn't seem to mind. That night, I made a promise to myself that I would put my own family issues aside during the trip and just focus on having a good time with my boyfriend's family, who have always been so gracious to me. On Thursday, we woke up early and helped his mom with some preparation for the food and set the table. After, we played some cornhole with his cousins and sadly lost due to my complete lack of athletic ability. The Thanksgiving meal itself was delicious and his mom is such a good cook. Everyone was very sweet to me and made me feel so welcome as part of the family, which helped me feel much better about my decision to spend the holidays with them. Towards the end of the night, his mom even said to me that she knows it is ultimately up to my boyfriend, but she hopes I can join the family for real someday. I told her I would be honored if that happens and we hugged. I really do hope it will. I love my boyfriend so much and I want to spend the rest of my life with him. His family is also an incredible bonus. I had such a wonderful time on Thanksgiving and enjoyed the rest of the weekend as well. We went on some great hikes, hung around by the bonfire, played board games, and watched movies. My boyfriend also spent some time looking after his little nephew, and watching them play with Legos together definitely gave me some slight baby fever. We got back yesterday afternoon and I am already missing everything. It was genuinely a blast and there was no family drama, which made my family seem like even more of a mess. I feel like I'm rambling a bit now, but I'm just so excited to share what a good time I had during the holiday and that I definitely made the right decision. Unfortunately, this update isn't entirely positive. I wish it could be. My parents reached out last night and they still weren't happy about my choice. I guess the sea air and unlimited drinks didn't do enough to relax them. My dad sent a passive-aggressive text of cruise pictures with a message that said, "Sad that you chose not to be with your family in such beautiful places." And I sent back a picture from my trip with my boyfriend's family and said, "Looks like you guys had a good time, so did we." Then my mom called and said she hoped I regretted missing out on a great family vacation and spoiling their memory due to a petty grudge against my brother. I told her my issue wasn't with James, but rather their unfair preferential treatment between the two of us. My mom said that I was the one being unfair by comparing our situations since James needs help while he figures out his direction in life, and I've always been much more independent. I told her the only reason that's true is because they never truly allowed me to depend on them. She said she wasn't going to apologize for raising a self-sufficient daughter, and that I should either grow up and be grateful for everything they've done or leave them alone for good and break their hearts all at once instead of doing it piece by piece. She called me cruel for dangling the hope of a wonderful holiday only to snatch it away at the last second. I was really upset by this point and pointed out multiple examples of how they prioritize James, just hoping I could finally make her understand how growing up like this has affected me. My mom said I had a lot of nerve to put their parenting under a microscope when I have no children myself and have never had to make tough decisions. I had enough of the conversation and said I guess I'll just leave you guys alone like you want since I'll never be enough for this family anyway. I hung up and started crying, but my boyfriend was really supportive as always and we spent the rest of the night eating ice cream and watching the Hunger Games to cheer me up. It was weird to go back to work today after everything and act like nothing was the matter, but I think it was also a good distraction. Since I chose my boyfriend's holiday plans instead of my family's, I actually came back feeling mostly refreshed instead of drained like I most likely would have been after the cruise. I haven't heard anything more from my parents yet, but I have a feeling they're just bluffing. I'm sure once they need something, they'll reach out, or they'll probably try and smooth things over by Christmas so they don't have to explain the situation to our extended family. I haven't decided yet if I'll be open to reconciling. On one hand, I know I deserve better than to be treated as a burden and an afterthought while doing so much for them. I'm tired of trying to live up to their expectations, and I'm not optimistic about their behavior ever changing. But on the other hand, they are my family, and it's just so difficult to fully walk away. I just want to feel the love and acceptance from my own family that I get from my boyfriend's family. Why is it so hard for them to treat me like I matter? I'm also worried that if I don't make nice with them, they'll twist the story to make me seem like the problem, and my extended family will be mad at me too. There are people I like within my family, but my parents have a lot of influence over everyone's opinions. I don't know if it's worth putting up with them to at least keep some ties to my family, or if it would be better to accept the loss and move on from a dynamic where I am clearly not appreciated. I want to keep my brother at least, but maybe I'm just holding on to the past, and that version of James doesn't exist anymore. I hope that's not true. I just don't know how to get through to him since he is so brainwashed by my parents and thinks they can do no wrong. I'm not sure if I'll ever truly get my brother back. I've got some big things to think about now, and I don't know if I'm ready to make such a major change to my life. I do believe I'd feel much freer and lighter if I at least distance myself from them and maybe even cut contact entirely. I guess I'll just have to see what happens. I'm sure I already know the answer to this, but is it stupid to still hold out hope that things can work out? Update 2. I'm going to try to keep this one brief since my last update was so long. I'm not sure how to link my previous posts since I'm on mobile, but they're available on my profile. I took the advice of some commenters and reached out to my favorite aunt. I told her that unfortunately I would not be at Christmas this year and that I would be taking a break from the family for my own mental health, yet I hoped that she and her children enjoy their time and have a great holiday. She said she understood and was proud of me. That made me feel better and helped me feel brave enough to finally cut the cord. On Wednesday night, my mom texted me for the first time since our phone call saying, "If you're done trying to break apart the family, we expect you to be here by 9:30 on Christmas." I told her the only ones responsible for breaking apart the family are her and my dad, and they should not expect me at Christmas or any future events. I said that I have finally learned to go where I am wanted, and that is simply not with them. I could tell she was ramping up to one of her rants, insulting and belittling me, so I then blocked her and my dad. I haven't blocked James yet though, as that will depend on his response when or if he reaches out. I already feel so empowered, like a weight has been lifted off me. And on a much happier note, my boyfriend and I are leaving to go on a ski trip for the holidays as soon as we are done with work today. I truly appreciate everyone who took the time to read my posts and offer advice. It was due to the kindness of all you internet strangers that I finally had the strength to cut them out of my life. Thank you so much and happy holidays, everyone. Quick PS, I included that side note in my past update about the Hunger Games as I was hoping to talk about the franchise with people. Sadly, no one took the bait as there were more important parts of my post to address. That being said, if anyone wants to talk Hunger Games with me, you know where to find me. Bella Penny said, blocking a toxic mom in the middle of a rant text is hilarious. The final filter said, those were powerful last words to her parents. I will never understand the golden child and scapegoat dynamic. I mean, I am not a parent, but still, how can you treat one child well and the other so poorly? To the point they charged OP 10,000K in back rent. That is insane. I am actually renting a room from my parents right now after the apartment complex I was renting from was sold to an idiot with a trust fund. To this user, Mad Pirate said, you see, in this dynamic, the parents project everything they like psychologically onto one child and everything they don't like onto the other. This is why the golden child can do no wrong. The scapegoat, however, is actually needed by the family, as their assigned role is to be the source of everything while needing nothing. They provide emotional and physical labor, money, time, energy, and serve as a great place to dump blame and act as an emotional vomit bucket for negative feelings. The golden child gets all the coddling, labor, attention, and money that the scapegoat does not receive. It's basically splitting, and it has very little to do with what the kids involved are actually like. Notice it's a brother and sister combo, so there is likely some generational gender bias involved. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.